these books. I'm sad to be parting with this one, but I'm definitely going to have to purchase it on my own because this woman was so talented and her story is fascinating. Welcome to our first reading vlog. I'm so excited. We actually have an interesting dilemma, a challenge, if you will. You know when girls are like, I girl boss too hard. I may have bookwormed too hard. We need to come up with a better term than that because that sounds really stupid. All of our holds came in at the same time. So I'm not one to back away from a challenge such as this. I thought this was like a unique situation where we might just see how many books we are able to complete before the due date. I should also say that there are 2 more holds that are ready for me at the library that I need to go pick up. We're going to do that tomorrow. I will take you with me. So I actually already started this book. I borrowed it from Libby in audiobook format when it became available in the Lucky Day collection, where you can borrow it for 7 days. Yeah, I just didn't love the narrator, and the book, the audiobook, it felt like it was going very slowly. So I placed a hold. That has come in. Harlem Rhapsody. I would estimate that I've probably already read the first 100 pages based on the percentage, if I remember correctly, of where I left off in the audiobook. Hi, do you have a flea? Are you itchy? Okay. Okay, hi. Thank you. I love you. Go to your bed. Good boy. So next we have The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I can't remember the last time I read this book. It must have been in middle school. Like, it was a very, very long time ago. So we can just go ahead and say I haven't read it because it's been that long and I have the memory of a goldfish. The reason why I checked this book out is because I have James sitting on my bookshelf. And if you were not aware, James is a retelling of one of the characters in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Jim, told from his perspective. And so before I dive into James, which I'm very excited to read, I wanted to go ahead and read the classic that it is referencing. Last but not least, in our physical books, we have Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. She's a Nobel Prize winner. I'm very excited. This is quite different from the books I've been reading recently, and I really appreciate an opportunity to read books written by writers from different places in the world. Now onto our ebook. I absolutely love my Kobo because of the Overdrive integration with the Kobo software. It makes it so easy to check out books from my library directly from the e-reader, or if I do it from my phone on my Libby app, it immediately shows up in the Kobo. It also tells me how many days I have left before the book is due, and it automatically returns the book for me, which I love. I mean, it's just the best. So for the ebooks that we have checked out, first we have Get a Life, Chloe Brown, which is part of a series by Talia Hibbert. I have started this one, just a few pages. So far I'm intrigued. I like the writing style and I like the voice of our main character so far. So more to be revealed. Next we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. Very excited to read this one. I read my first Emily Henry a couple months ago. That was a funny story and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Last I have Into the Water, I think, by Paul Hawkins. Is that the title? I might DNF it, to be honest with you, because I have much more interesting books on this TBR. And I mean, I read The Girl on the Train and it was the same experience then. I think I was more curious about reading that book because I really wanted to see the film. If you haven't noticed, this is like a trend for me. If I know a movie is coming out and it's based on a book and I haven't read the book, I will pick up the book because I'm a purist. I know it's annoying, but I love the experience of comparing 2 different mediums to one another. And I'm not about like, the book is better, because that's not always true. The Handmaid's Tale is a perfect example. Hot take, I know, but we'll do that in a different video, because I think the show far supersedes the quality of that book, which in my honest opinion was not very good. Yeah, I'm not always about like the book's always better. It's not always true. Sometimes the two are just very different. Oftentimes the book is better for different reasons, but either way, I love the experience of reading a book, watching a movie, comparing the two art forms, the two styles, approaches to the story. I always like to give writers second chances, because unless they have like thoroughly disgusted me in a book, one book is not going to show you everything that a writer has to offer. So far, it's just like, if it doesn't get any better or if it gets worse, I'm probably going to DNF. Primarily because we got a lot of other books to get to, okay? And we just don't have time to be reading books when there are better books on the horizon, for sure. Okay, you really need to get one of those things that you can mount on your dashboard, because there's no like normal place for me to put my phone, and now I'm just awkwardly holding it. But we got our books. Listen to Your Sister. I am very excited for this one, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I have read, I think, 0 of her books, so I'm looking forward to it. I've been slowly kind of easing my way into the popular contemporary romance girlies right now. So I read my first Allie Hazelwood at the end of last year, read my first Emily Henry earlier this year, and now we're working our way into Abby Jimenez. So we're headed home. I have a few things that I need to take care of, bookish things, so I will be taking you with me. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be in my office. Okay, I'll see you at home. I'm trying a different setting on my camera, and I'm just hoping that I'm in focus. We'll see. We have snacks. We have drinks, a little kombucha, and something that I want to do is, something I need to do is catch up on my reading journal, because I set her up at the beginning of the year. I am so happy with how it came out. It looks awesome, but I neglected her, let's say. And it's been 4 months now, and I need to catch up. So I went ahead and printed all of my little book covers. And the good thing is, so I keep track of everything in Notion. The journal is more of like a creative outlet and a physical, like memory keeping sort of thing, just for my books. It's really nice when I can like go back and look through the journal to see how I felt about a book that I read, when I read a book. Of course, like that information is recorded in Notion and in Storygraph, but it's not the same. And I don't go back into Notion to like scroll or peruse for like nostalgia's sake. Storygraph is like my easy, quick, like, when did I start this book? Keeping track of my bingo, my 2025 bingo, and my 25 in 2025. I have both of those set up in my story graph, and that's easy because I always have my phone with me. It's easy to update the app, and then I use information from my story graph to plug into Notion. I do plan on doing like a reading journal tour. Yeah, journaling is something I've always done in some form or another, and having a reading journal is something that makes me really happy. And I keep coming in and out of focus, so I'm gonna have to figure this out. Hello. Cue background music and time lapse of me working in my journal. I just filmed this and I have to redo it because I did not frame myself correctly. So we're learning. It's gonna take a while to get used to the vlogging. I can't wait until I don't have to think about it as much. It's been a minute since I've filmed an update or filmed period. I made the very terrible and unwise decision to start this vlog during a time when work is crazy and also I have a lot going on in my life. So we're learning. It's fine. We're gonna have to make some adjustments. Basically, I filmed that intro at the end of last week and it is now Friday. So it's been a full week and I've barely been able to film and I've barely had a chance to make a dent through that TBR. Basically, my work schedule this week was crazy, and we're celebrating my partner's birthday this weekend, so I really won't be filming much. There's one book already that I did have to return and I was not able to extend the hold on. That was Happy Place by Emily Henry, of course, because it's a higher demand book. They don't allow you to extend holds on those. You have to return them because there's such a long wait list on them. I do have Beach Read on hold. That'll be coming in a couple weeks, so I'm not worried about it. I did finish listening to the Atlas Paradox, and that was fine. It had been a hot minute since I read the first book in the series, the Atlas 6, so initially my brain was really struggling to remember what the hell had happened. Most of it did end up coming back to me throughout the book. I will say on that front, something I really appreciate about Olivia Blake is that she doesn't do like a heavy retelling of her previous book in the series. I really hate when authors do that in series where in the second, third, fourth book, whatever, they do this like long summary or frequently do these like summaries of what happened in the first or in the previous books. I don't like that. I can understand why it can be useful, but I think if we are reading a series, it's on us to, one, either have the first book to reference or remember most of it, or the story itself should be able to guide you through the events as they relate to what happens in the first or previous books without telling you everything that happened in it. Like, we should be able to do the lifting on our own. There should be enough context clues, etc. And I love that Olivia does that because, yeah, I think it's just a waste of like lines and text and pages when we do a lot of retelling in series. Even though my brain could have used a retelling, I appreciated that she did not do that. Yeah, the Atlas Paradox, it was fine. Once it really got going, about like 40% of the way through, I was more hooked. But I definitely would say that there were some storylines, like some POVs, that I was more invested in than others. Like two in particular that I was really excited to read more about. The other book that I finished was, I think, like my first ever rom-com, to be honest. I did say in my newbie booktube video that contemporary romance / contemporary fiction is not a genre that I often find myself gravitating towards, which is funny because this month I've already read, I think, like 3 of those, because I'm trying to, you know, expand my horizons. Get a Life, Chloe Brown was a delightful, silly, fun time. It was better than I expected. I really enjoyed the banter. Ugh, the banter. So good. That's something the English really do better than us over here in the US, and that is the banter. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Something else that I really loved, we have a female main character who is a Black woman living with fibromyalgia with also a curvy, not super tiny body type. Representation matters. All of those things matter. They matter to me. And it was really delightful to get the experience of a character who has a myriad of different parts of her identity and is not defined by any single one. I felt that Talia Hibbert did a really good job at relaying the experience of somebody living with chronic pain and a disability. I believe she does refer to it as a disability, without victimizing her characters. She maintains the dignity of her character, and at no point do I feel that Chloe is defined by any of those identities, and it is mentioned in the book in a way that I felt was really tasteful. So that's something I really enjoyed. Loved Redford. He was such a hunk and a sweetheart and just a delightful man. So it was great. It was a good time. I enjoyed it, and I would recommend. It is part of a series because Chloe has 2 other sisters, the Brown sisters. There's 3 of them, and so there is 1 book for each sister. I'm currently reading the 2nd book, which is Take a Hint, Dani Brown. Last update is Harlem Rhapsody, which I told you guys in the first update. I originally started on audiobook through Libby when it became available on the Lucky Day, like Skip the Line collection. But because I only had it for 7 days and it was not the kind of book that like immediately got me, I kept kind of like zoning out and having to like rewind, and I wasn't like zeroed in on it. I thought, you know, I'm not really loving the audiobook experience. I felt like the pace was a bit slow. I generally read faster than most audiobook narrations, but I cannot. I don't judge you guys. A little bit I'm judging. Like, honestly, it feels unhinged to listen to a book faster than 1.5 speed, okay? I don't know how you guys are. Like, are you guys okay? Because I don't know how you're doing it. If I listen to a book faster than 1.5 speed, I feel as though I'm going to have a heart attack. My best friend is one of those. One time I got in her car and she had it on like 3x speed, and I was like, girl, I'm not one of those girlies. I'd rather just read because I read faster. I also wasn't loving the narrator, like the voice actor. Her voice wasn't my favorite, and it wasn't like what I would associate with the main character who was telling the story. Yeah, I don't think the problem was the audiobook pace or voice actor. The book is just it's a little dry for me. This is my fault. I try really hard to go into books, movies, TV shows, everything with little to no expectations. I try mostly to go in knowing little to nothing about it because I love being along for the ride. However, this book is called Harlem Rhapsody, so the art tells you essentially what it's about. And I have, like most of us, you know, preconceived notions of the Harlem Renaissance. I associate it to be a very like colorful, vivacious, lyrical, musical time. Therefore, that was kind of the tone that I was expecting from this book, and it's not what I'm getting. Jessie, our main character, Jessie Fawcett, is, I think, in her mid to late 30s, but she has the voice of somebody in her 60s or older. Like, her voice sounds too mature for her age, and that throws me, for one. But I think the bigger problem is, like I said, I associate the Harlem Renaissance to be this very vivacious, colorful, bright time. I expected that from the prose and the tone of the book, and it's just not what I'm getting. There are pockets of that, but it feels a lot more stiff and stuffy. There's that. There's a lot of telling, not showing in the actual writing, which I don't love. That's not my favorite type of writing. You know, let me do some heavy lifting. Let me do some work when I'm reading. And then lastly, I also try hard not to judge the characters that I read. If I have judgments about them, I like to kind of like pull out and observe maybe why I feel that way. I plan to do a video on how to read critically. It's something that I've had in the back of my mind for a while. I'm pretty excited to do that. So I will be talking more about like that specific thing in that video. But yeah, it's something that I try to do. However, the main moral conflict that Jessie has in this book is hard to get through. This is not a spoiler, but she is having an affair with a married man. And I don't, the romance isn't like juicy. Like, he's terrible. I cannot stand this man. So that, like, there's not even that would make it feel like, oh, they're meant to be together. Like, that's not what's happening. It's not meant to happen. Like, the author isn't trying to do that because it is a historical fiction, so it is based on a real thing. But yeah, so he's terrible, and she is repeatedly making these decisions that make me want to shake her. There's also no plot here, which I'm not like a huge stickler for plot. But like, if there's no plot and there's not something else to make the book worthwhile, you kind of lost me. I mean, with certain things, I'm like, I know where this is going. But at the very least, I'd be more excited to read about like the real characters that I know she ends up meeting, because Jessie Fawcett in real life was very important to helping to give voice to some of the greatest writers that we know today that came from that time period. So far, we've met one, and we see very little of him. Like, the parts of the story that I'm more intrigued by are not that big. They're not taking up a lot of real estate in here. Yeah, it's been difficult to get through this book for, as you can see, many reasons. I'm gonna get to about 50% and we'll see how I feel. I may DNF this book because I'm not about torturing myself. And I have a lot of other books that I'm more excited to read. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted. But yeah, that's what we've got going on right now. Harlem Rhapsody, Take a Hint, Danny Brown on audiobook. I need to make breakfast because this took a lot longer since I had to reshoot it. But I really wanted to sit down and give an update because it's been a week and it needed to happen. Our first video went up today. So if you've watched it, because by the time this is up, it will have been up for a couple weeks. Thank you so much. And if not, go check it out. It's my newbie booktube tag where I tell you a little bit about me and what we're gonna do here. So I'm gonna make breakfast. I gotta take these dogs for a walk. Okay, bye.